All right, so real quick, if you came into the video rental store on a Friday night and I was working there, a place where I basically lived, and you said, Chase, I have seen everything there is to see. I don't know what to watch. What would you recommend? I would say I have these 12 tapes that I'm going to pull off my shelf, and you cannot go wrong with any of these, despite the fact that a lot of people have overlooked these movies. So no essay tonight, no deep dive, just me, my shelf, 12 movies I genuinely love that I don't think a lot of you have seen, or maybe you just forgot. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so coming in, no beating around the bush, this is just fun. We're pulling movies, and the first one I would give you is underrated. It is Under Siege, and this is Steven Seagal on a battleship as a cook, kind of, directed by Andrew Davis, the same guy who did The Fugitive. This is basically Die Hard on a battleship. You got beautiful Erica Eleniak supplying the eye candy if you need that, jumping out of a birthday cake. Sans clothes for the most part. You've got mercenaries led by a great villain played by Tommy Lee Jones aboard the USS Missouri. And it turns out the ship's cook is a former Navy SEAL, and you've got Gary Busey as the inside man doing crazy Gary Busey things. This is a very fun, very underrated movie that I'm hoping a lot of people have rediscovered, because back in January of this year, 2026, Arrow Video did this 4K restoration, and man, it will knock your socks off. Visually, the sound all around you, and just absolute fun with this movie. Lots to look at, lots of explosions. You can't go wrong with Under Siege. We're pulling that one off the shelf and checking it out first. All right, now the next one is one that I just came to recently, and I think I mentioned that on a video a month or two ago, but it is The Final Countdown. And I had to immediately go pick up the 4K of this, today's version of the VHS. I had to go pick up the 4K because this movie is so damn good. It knocked my socks off, and it's one that I missed. So I'd definitely be pulling it for you. The one sentence pitch for this movie is the most modern advanced U.S. aircraft carrier ever, in 1980-ish, sails through a mysterious storm on the ocean and ends up back in time the day before Pearl Harbor. That's it. That's the movie, and it lives up to the premise in every single way. Kirk Douglas plays the carrier's admiral. You have a young Martin Sheen as a civilian observer in here. They go back, the whole question of, do you intervene? What happens if you intervene? Can you prevent history? Will you just make history happen? All of that is given documentary level weight almost, but it's still got cool action, cool interaction. This is one that shouldn't be forgotten, and it should not be missed if you haven't seen it. I cannot recommend The Final Countdown enough. Hidden gem, check this one out. And the next one is directed by one of my favorite directors. He might have a two spot on this list, but this one is comedy gold with Richard Pryor and John Candy in Brewster's Millions. This one is fun, and it has a cool premise because you have Richard Pryor, who finds out that he has a long lost rich uncle who's kicking the bucket, and he's left him a video message saying that he has two options. He can either take a chicken prize and get like $1 million right now and walk off, or he can take a challenge. And the challenge is to spend $30 million in 30 days with no assets to show for it. And if he can manage to do that, then he will get $300 million to have for the rest of his life. It's supposed to teach him how money sucks overall, and you get sick of spending money. But like I said, directed by Walter Hill. John Candy is Richard Pryor's best friend in this movie, and he's kind of along for the ride because Richard Pryor can't tell anybody. That's part of it. So Pryor and Candy together is reason enough. The cool premise, Walter Hill behind it. If you haven't checked this one out, didn't know it was Walter Hill, you just kind of missed this, you're a John Candy fan, This is one you can't miss. I absolutely love Brewster's Millions. We're pulling it off the shelf to check out. Now the next one was one that my brother checked out every single time we went to the movie rental store, mom and pop, later Blockbuster, it didn't matter. He was going to rent DC Cab. And you listen, you got Mr. T and a ragtag cab company in Washington, D.C. in pure 80s energy and chaos, done by Joel Schumacher, who had directed this, and he did this before he ever did a Batman film. He also wrote this film, and it follows a struggling, barely legal band of misfits, a motley crew put together running the DC Cab Company. And I'm talking about, you have everybody from the Barbarian Brothers in here, you have Mr. T, you have Adam Baldwin, you even got a young Bill Maher in this movie. It is an absolute blast, over the top, 80s energy, chaos, with early Schumacher. So much fun. If you haven't seen DC Cab, make it or break it. It's got a great 80s soundtrack and a lot of fun. Gary Busey doing Gary Busey things. Then check out DC Cab. Now, I was a football player. I love football. My son plays football. One of my favorite football movies growing up was Wildcats with Goldie Hawn. Hey, you got to see Goldie Hawn with no clothes on in a tub. That didn't hurt at all. And you have the first go-round for Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes starring in a movie together as high school football players, because Goldie Hawn lands her dream job as a high school varsity football coach. It just happens to be at one of the most inner city, just terrible, falling apart schools that you could ever imagine. But this one has got a lot more heart in it than people give it credit for. You got Goldie Hawn. She's great. Funny, she's believable in this role. You can tell she learned. There's some great setups to this, because you have her challenging the guys to a race, and she'll quit if they beat her, if they can outlast her, but she fails to tell them that she's a marathon runner. There's all kinds of fun things. You got LL Cool J doing the soundtrack to this movie. Football is got a cool little song to this. It's an underseen sports comedy, very raunchy level sports comedy right here. So if you like 80s sort of raunchy comedies, you like sports movies, sports comedies, you like Goldie Hawn, you like Wesley Snipes, you like Woody Harrelson, this has all of that going for it. Check out Wildcats. Now the next one is the one, I just watched this the other night going to sleep, and it gave me the idea to do this video. It is Men at Work with Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, and you have Keith David in here, who I think is one of the most underrated, awesome actors ever. And of course, they're real life brothers, Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, and they play two garbage men who stumble onto a dead body while working their normal route. And they kind of get wrapped up in this toxic waste cover up, but they think they're involved because of something they did to mess with the guy that has turned up dead. This one was actually written and directed by Emilio Estevez. It's fun. You can tell they're real brothers. It just comes off. Sometimes you don't need a masterpiece. Sometimes you just need fun. And as Keith David said, hey, I know you, man. I know what you're thinking here. I just got another crazy movie in my hand. Nah, this is a lot of fun. Check out Men at Work. If you haven't seen it, change that right now. We're checking it out tonight. All right, so the next one is kind of a... I'm not sure who this movie's technically for, because it feels pretty racy to be a kid's movie, but it's also like a sci-fi funny... Let's just call it what it is. It is My Stepmother is an Alien. And you got Dan Aykroyd, who is a widowed scientist who... he accidentally signals an alien planet, and Kim Basinger, beautiful Kim Basinger from around my hometown, Brazelton, Georgia, shows up in as an alien to investigate. She's sent to investigate and ends up falling in love with Dan Aykroyd and marrying him and learning what it means to be human. And I told you, there's no apologizing tonight. This is a strange movie that is kind of got some naughty bits to it, but it's also charming. It's a sci-fi comedy. It has zero business working as good as it does and being this much fun. There's some fun physical comedy in it. Of course, you have young Allison Hannigan from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and American Pie in here. Lot of fun, great Arrow Blu-ray, but you can find My Stepmother is an Alien out there. Tonight, we're checking it out off of my shelf. All right, so the next one is the one that you would have found like in the mom and pop video rental store, sort of back there in the dusty behind the shelf. It's like kind of almost feels straight to video type thing. It is Dead Heat with Joe Piscopo and Treat Williams, and they play two LA cops who are investigating a jewelry heist committed by men who are already dead. They're zombies, reanimated corpses that are robbing stores before collapsing back into decay. Treat Williams actually gets killed in the line of duty and is reanimated himself, and he's racing a 12-hour clock before his body gives out. So you got that ticking time bomb, you got action, you got horror, you got comedy. This is peak only in the 80s type energy could this movie have happened, because it has got great practical effects. It's executed straight. Other than the comedy, it's kind of a midnight movie, an action movie, a comedy, a horror, all of it put together. It is an absolute blast that you would have found in the video rental store just browsing for Dead Heat. All right, so the next one might be one of the most underdiscussed and underseen gems from Sylvester Stallone that you're ever going to find, and it is Lock Up. And in this one, he plays a prisoner who has like 6 months left on his sentence. And he's in basically a country club of a jail at this point because he's not a violent criminal and he's almost out. And then he suddenly, without warning, gets transferred to like a super max hellhole run by a warden who has got a personal vendetta, played by Donald Sutherland, who does his best imitation of the devil himself in this one. And this one gets overlooked by bigger 80s Stallone and other action movies, but I think that's a mistake because this one is tense. It's well-built prison drama. It's got Donald Sutherland, one of the best villain performances you are going to see. It's cold. It's patient. You feel for these people. You're invested into it. It's heartbreaking. This is as underrated Stallone as you can get and still have a Stallone movie. Lock Up. You got to check it out. It is worth your time. All right, now I promised you a little more Walter Hill, but what I didn't tell you is this is one of my top 25, top 50 favorite movies of all time. It helped inspire my movie Dark Road 79. This is Crossroads, starring Ralph Macchio, and he plays a Juilliard-trained guitarist, classical guitarist, who tracks down an old harmonica player, Blind Dog Willie, who's played by Joe Seneca just flawlessly in this. And he claims to have an unknown Robert Johnson song. And Joe Seneca's character, Blind Dog Willie, Blind Dog Fulton, Smokehouse Brown. They call him Willie, the one and only Willie Brown. He talks Ralph Macchio's character into taking him back down to the Crossroads in Mississippi, where he and Robert Johnson made a deal with the devil for their fame, for their talent, for their fortune. Again, directed by Walter Hill. This one has one of the most epic guitar duels ever, worth the price of admission, because you've got Stevie Vai playing in here and Ralph Macchio doing a good job looking like he's playing. You literally have the devil. You have these legends come to life. And I've been to Crossroads. I have been to where Robert Johnson was from in Mississippi because I love that. It's in my movie Dark Roads, where I filmed where I was there. I absolutely love this movie. Underrated, incredible film here. You have to check out Crossroads. All right, now if you're a horror person, it is your time. And this is one that I just discovered about a year or two myself. Even though I grew up at the time this came out, I somehow missed Dead and Buried. And this one is your horror for the night that is genuinely going to mess with you. Directed by Gary Sherman and co-written by Dan O'Bannon of Alien fame. Yeah, you had some power hitters coming behind this. This follows a small coastal town where a sheriff investigates, let's just say, strange disappearances and murders of visiting people. It is the small town of Potter's Bluff, so it has all this small town creepy atmosphere, which is one of my favorite things in horror. right? The small town, creepy atmosphere. There's just something under the surface that you got to puzzle out. All of that is in here. I famously said this movie has more fog in it than The Fog. The atmosphere is creeping dread as you're trying to uncover this dark mystery in this horror mystery, because it is a horror story with a hell of a twist ending. This is the road into Potter's Bluff. There is no road out. It says that in the trailer. That should hook you immediately. You cannot go wrong with checking out Dead and Buried. All right, so we are going to close out with one of my favorite films too. So I've got some of my favorites on this list that a lot of people have missed. This one is a little Joe Dante and a little John Goodman and a whole lot of awesome. It is Matinee, and I absolutely love this film. It's also one of the greatest 4Ks I've ever seen. This and Crossroads, favorite two movies on this list. John Goodman plays basically a William Castle style character, and he's like a schlock horror director who is bringing his new monster movie to a small Florida town during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So you have this time period that I love having this set in, this sort of atomic era, monster movies, William Castle style, old school theaters, small town vibes in the South. You got everything that I love here. Part of this was filmed at Universal Studios in Florida. I love it. The whole film becomes a love letter to that time, to everything that I felt sitting in a theater scared as a kid, or renting a movie scared as a kid, and watching old movies late night with Elvira and Rhonda Shear Up All Night and Joe Bob Briggs. All of that is like somehow condensed and distilled into Matinee with Joe Dante here. And John Goodman, I absolutely love this. If you have never seen Matinee, stop what you're doing. Fix that this week. Watch this one first. This is one made by people who clearly love filmmaking, who clearly love monster movies, who clearly love all of the heart, the feel, the vibes that the theater, that movies, the nostalgia can all bake into you for the rest of your life. It is all right here in Matinee. I couldn't love this movie more. You have to check it out as a perfect way to end our stack of movies tonight with Matinee. So there you go. 12 movies, my shelf, straight to you. Under Siege, Final Countdown, Matinee, Crossroads, Wildcats. We got all kinds of movies, something here for everyone. And a lot of these are criminally underseen, unknown, forgotten. Fix that now. Grab you a stack, watch them, let me know what you think. Tell me which ones you've actually seen, if any of these are your favorites, which ones of these you love. Let me know all about it, because if I had handed these to you behind the counter, I would have loved to know how much you enjoyed them and if you loved them as much as me. So let me know right now. That's what I got for you this time. Just some fun. I hope you enjoy it and love movies and have a blast with them. And until next time, like, subscribe, hype up the video. That all helps. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can join my Patreon link. You'll get behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, members only videos, and so much more. And normally you get your name and lights on every single video, but I have lost a hard drive this weekend that has a year and a half worth of graphics effects, files, videos I've shot, downloads, editing, so much stuff. All of my movies that I have been remastering for re-release on physical media, I have lost it all. Okay, so it's going to take me a few minutes, but don't you worry. I will recreate all those graphics and have your name and lights again once you join, if you're part of the Patreon, and I really do appreciate it, y'all. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.